Welcome back to Score on Business. And before we get started, let me remind you to check out scorenashville.org. If you're a small business or you're an entrepreneur, there are lots of resources for you. And so our next guest is Stephanie Huffman.
Hello.
And Stephanie is the founder of Epiphany Creative Services.
Yes.
And so she and her team assist clients with branding and media marketing, social media. And I asked her to be on the show today because a good friend of mine who is doing very well with his business credits you with helping him take it to the next level.
Wow,
so
thank you.
Yeah,
that's very nice to hear.
Yes, that's always nice. Well, tell us a little bit, when you look at branding and marketing and social media, can you explain a little bit about what those are and what they mean?
My grandfather comes to mind. He was a farmer, but he was also a rancher, and he had cattle, and you would brand your cattle, and all the ranchers in the area would take their cattle into the hills and leave them there and then come back in spring for a big roundup. Well, obviously the herds had grown and they're all intermixed, and the only way to delineate was to see your mark, and then you could take your cattle with you. So brands were initially a marker to say, this is mine, this belongs to Jim or Bob. If you see a bin of shoes and you see a swoosh, you go, oh, that's a Nike shoe. That brand delineates that shoe as a Nike shoe. Now, however that brand grows and develops, it'll be quality or not quality, and you train the audience. For example, the Golden Arches doesn't tell you this is burgers and fries. We have been trained that when we see the Golden Arches, that mark delineates burger and fries. But brands have grown into much more than just a mark. Branding is much more now than just an image or a mark. And I have a little example for that. World War II London. This may sound like a strange example, but if you have a product or a passion or some type of project, you have a message, and you need to get that message out, and then you want it to matter and work. You want to engage, you want to manage that message. World War II London, it was a very scary place. The government wanted to calm their citizenry down, and they created a campaign. And I'm sure you've heard of it, Stay Calm and Carry On.
Yeah.
And so they thought, well, how do we get this message to the masses and make it work? So you had a message, and the brand of the campaign, Stay Calm and Carry On, and so they created posters. Well, now those posters are going to sit somewhere until you market them and get them out to the masses.
Right.
So the brand is in place, and the brand should not have a woman screaming down the street in terror. The brand has to be calm, stay calm and carry on, show her calm and carrying on. So you get the brand in place. We make the poster, then we get it out into the streets. We're not going to put it in a dark alley. We're going to put it where all the people can see it the most and get it all out. And then you make sure those posters stay up and that people see them, so you manage the message. They didn't have the luxury of social media, which now we can manage that message. We can engage with the customer and the end user, and we can educate. They didn't have that luxury. They only had the idea and the posters.
Right. That's a great, as it turns out, a military historian for fun, and that was an incredibly powerful campaign, and that in support with what Churchill said made a huge difference.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It worked.
It worked. So what are important considerations for someone who is looking to brand themselves or brand their company?
Right. Well, whatever you are, or whoever you are, whatever you're doing, you have either a project, or you have a passion, or you have a product.
Right.
And you want to have someone do something with it. You have a message. You need to get that message out, and then you need to manage that message and educate and engage. So the first thing I would say to you is, what is it that you're doing? What is it that you really want to do? Let's bring it on down. I have one message, and I need to get that message out. Well, it's like a person running for office of the presidency. I love to use this analogy because sometimes it just helps people in different areas to get this. If I'm running for president, I have very little time to get one message out to 50 states. So I have to decide who is me and what am I saying. Then I've got to get that message out, but then I have to make a conversion. I have to get them to vote for me in that booth. So you have to go through this whole process. What does he look like? Does he show up with his hair disheveled and in a broken down car? No. His brand needs to look like a politician. He needs to act like a politician and speak like one.
Yeah. And hey, let's take a quick break and come back and we will finish that example.
Sounds great.
Okay. Hey, y'all come on back. We'll be back in a moment. We'll talk more about branding and marketing and social media. Thanks.